This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Hello, America. Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. We've been talking about the Great Reset. I've been trying to explain it. I wrote a whole book on it to make sure that we were very, very clear what's true, what's not, because it's easy to look at this from a distance or go on to websites that you think you can trust, and it'll take you down a conspiracy hole. That's why the book was so important. It has 50 pages of fine print footnotes, so you know our sources are from the World Economic Forum, whitehouse.gov, the advisors from BlackRock all around the president and our Treasury Secretary, or treasury.gov. We want to make sure that you understand this is not a theory. This is a fact in their own words. Well, Dave Ramsey got a call the other day saying, hey, what do I do about the Great Reset? Have you thought about, any other strategies for this? And he jokingly said, I'm assuming he jokingly said, you got crazy friends like Glenn Beck, don't you? Now, Dave and I are friends, so I wanted to get him on and have him explain what he thinks the Great Reset is. Dave Ramsey joins us in 60 seconds.
Back in the good old days, somebody wanted to steal your personal information and your money. They had the decency to come into the Oval Office and hold me up at gunpoint and say, we're taking your oatmeal, and that's what they would do.
Times have changed. Yes, Joe, I'm sorry. The world is a different place now with cyber criminals.
And rap music. That rap music, I don't even understand it.
The next thing you know, you've got a stolen identity because of a cyber criminal.
And my best girl is having a fountain drink at the malt shop. Boom.
Yes, that's what Lifelock is for. I mean, they can't take care of all of that, and they can't catch all of the bad guys, but they can monitor things that better than you can on your own. And if you do become a victim, they have restoration specialists that will work with you to help fix the problem quickly. So I want you to join LifeLock now. LifeLock by Norton. Save up to 25% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Call 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock, or head to lifelock.com. Make sure you use the promo code BECK. Save 25%. lifelock.com, 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. So if it isn't Dave Ramsey. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Great, my friend. How are you?
I'm very good, but I do want to thank you for the pleasure of having my wife come home, who listens to you every day, and say, honey, see, I told you were crazy. Dave Ramsey said you were crazy. Thank you for that, Dave.
Anytime, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm just here to help.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a big Glenn Beck supporter.
No. We don't even have to go down this road. We are good friends. We have been for a long time. I have a lot of respect for you, and I know it goes the other way. Here's what I do want to do. You were talking about the Great Reset. You're in a different business, really, than I am. You give financial advice. I don't. I always say, this is what I'm doing, but don't listen to me because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I wanted to get from you what you think the Great Reset is.
Well, the irony of this is that both of our books came out the same day, January the 11th. And that
that's
both
right.
of them were on the bestseller lists at the same time. Baby Steps Millionaires.
Yep.
That's actually started this conversation this morning, too, by the way. So, because what happened was a guy followed our baby steps and became a millionaire. And so he's completely out of debt, 100% out of debt. He has a net worth of over $1 million.
Amen.
Calls in and says, hey, I'm thinking about not investing anymore because of the Glenn Beck Reset. And that's what started.
Okay, hold on just a second. First of all, it's the Great Reset, not the Glenn Beck Reset. And I have never said that. I have said, if you are concerned about it, spread your money out as wide as you can, because I don't know what will hold. But I still have my house. I still have money in the stock market. I'm very careful on who I invest with. I don't want to invest with BlackRock. Although, if you want to make money, that's what you should do. If you want to make money,
if you have no principles, but
correct.
Yeah. But no, I'm not an expert on the Great Reset. You are. You wrote the book on it. And so, and diversification, what you're talking about there, spreading your money out. I mean, the Bible says spread your portions to 7, yes to 8, for disaster may come upon the land. Diversification is the oldest financial rule ever. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Some dude has the basket and he's been smoking pot. Do not put all your eggs in one basket,
correct.
Right? And so that's what you're talking about, and certainly we would espouse that as well. What I was trying to do is keeping the guy from freaking out, becoming scared that the world was coming to an end, and trashing all of his investments that caused him to become a millionaire in the first place.
So, Dave, this is one of the reasons why I'm thrilled to have you on, because honestly, I don't know if you know what stakeholder capitalism is. But that's the driving force or the theory behind the Great Reset. And you've got the Treasury. You have Yellen saying this is what we're doing. We're going to have stakeholder capitalism. That is 21st century fascism. And if you don't mind not telling your school board, I think you're wrong, then you're not going to have a problem with ESG scores. But you have to play ball exactly the way they are telling you down the road with digital money, which is something that the executive order came out last week on. And so I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side of this. I have no idea what's going on. I do know just with inflation, we have got to batten down the hatches. So what should people do to batten down the hatches?
Well, when we go back in history, the thing that we want to avoid is we always want to be safe. We always want to assess risk in the marketplaces, which is what you're talking about. And we always want to be wise then of, the storm's coming. We perceive a storm. But here's where people get crazy. When the fear kicks in, it coats your brain and lowers your critical thinking skills.
Yep.
And they go nuts. And so I'll give you an old example I was thinking of this morning, knowing I was going to be on here. In 1982, J. Peter Grace was put on the Grace Commission by Ronald Reagan to study government overspending and the deficit and the damage of the deficits. His co-chair on that was a guy named Harry Figge. Both of them were billionaires at the time. And Figge wrote a book later that year called Bankruptcy 1995, predicting the end of the American economy as we know it because of the deficit increase. Mm-hmm. Apparently he was wrong. Larry Burkett wrote a book called The Coming Economic Earthquake that predicted in 1992 the world was going to come to an end and the economic crisis was going to cause America to end as we know it. And apparently he was wrong. My good friend Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote a wonderful book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, wrote a book called Rich Dad's Prophecy, where he predicted the end of the stock market as we know it in 2016. Apparently he was wrong. So I don't want people to not invest because of fear by swinging the pendulum too far to the other side. But it is wisdom there in the middle to say, hey, I don't like what's going on. I smell fascism. I smell Fauci running the economy. I'm a libertarian. Leave me free, because a free man will drive an economy. But when you start tinkering around in the background in the back rooms with these things, is there something to be concerned about? Sure. So you've just got to be wise about it, but don't oversteer the car and flip it.
So can I? Absolutely. But let me ask you a couple of things. First of all, I was called a fearmonger in 2006 and 2007 when I said this housing stuff with the banks, it doesn't work. There is going to be a collapse. Everybody called me crazy. As you know, what happened was the crash of 2008. Now, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and that is only because of TARP, which was something that is absolutely unconstitutional and unthinkable before that crash.
No question.
I haven't read Kawasaki's book, but I respect him and I know him. But
he's a good guy.
I think there's a difference between America, the end of America, and the end of, as he said, the stock market as we know it. Because I look at the stock market today and it makes no sense. We're closing down all businesses in America and the rest of the world, and the stock market continues to go up? That's not the stock market that I know.
Well, the stock market on the short term is driven by profits. And profits are very, very real right now, in spite of all the economic crap that's out there. The profits are very real. But to predict the end of the stock market is to predict every household name that we know of evaporating. Home Depot, Microsoft, Apple, McDonald's, Coca-Cola are all zero. That's the end of the stock market. That is the end of America.
Yes, it is. But what I'm asking you is the end of the stock market as we know it. I don't know what he wrote, and maybe he wrote that it was going to be at zero. I don't believe that. I believe there are companies that will, just like in the Great Depression, companies that will fall away, companies that are tried and true and rock solid, and they will continue.
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime stupid is stress tested, we get to see it's stupid. So that's what happens. And I think in 2008, maybe you and I were arguing about gold, if I remember. Or I was arguing with somebody about it because everybody was buying gold in that crash. And I just pulled this up a minute ago. I told people don't buy gold. I've always told them don't buy gold. And so in the last 10 years, gold has had a 3.71% rate of return, and the stock market has had a 12.2% rate of return.
So I don't
buy gold.
Well, no, I disagree with you. I mean, the 3.5, or when I started talking about it, it's up 10x. However, I don't buy it as my get rich thing, and I say this all the time. I don't buy it for investment. I buy it for insurance against insanity. You know, this is the same reason why China just purchased 220,000 tons of gold. In the end, when the madness of printing becomes clear, the world generally resets to some sort of a commodity, usually gold. That's what they're doing now in China. So
if it completely melts down, it resets to a barter economy, and then a currency will erupt. And you'll see that in a completely collapsed economy, of Venezuela or a Nazi Germany.
Correct. When
hyperinflation, and it was a wheelbarrow load of money to buy a loaf of bread. And so you had hyperinflation kick in. And so what happens is that currency is based on trust. So it's actually a spiritual animal in that sense. And so when you quit trusting that a piece of green paper with the president's face on it will buy something, then you have to trust that something else will work. And if you trust gold will work, that's fine. But in a completely melted down economy, people really want bullets, water, blue jeans, and gasoline.
So what do you say about the reset of a currency, which, you know, Russia and China are doing, clearly trying to take the petrodollar apart? So half the world would go that way if their plan would work, and a reset to a digital dollar.
Well, it can happen. Again, the thing that has to happen for these things to occur is trust has to evaporate. You have to no longer believe. When a certain number of people believe that a Bitcoin is worth something, that's the only thing that makes it worth something. It has no intrinsic value. Actually, a bar of gold has no intrinsic value any more than a piece of green paper does.
Right.
It's when people are fighting over it and they're arguing about it, negotiating for it, that gives it value. And so that's the trust factor. And so you can move trust around in currencies. And that's why, and I don't recommend trading currencies. I don't trade currencies. But if you're going to trade on the yen, you would say, all right, what is the outlook for China's economic condition?
Right. So I'm not talking about trading currencies. I'm talking about the changing of currencies. We've done it a couple of times in the past. Well, yeah, but the average person loses about 40% on their dollar. And if you read Yellen is talking about this time it'll be different because it will be an equitable exchange when the new currency would be introduced, which scares the hell out of me. But
sure, that's all socialism language, and that's just BS. And then the thing that's going to happen.
Wait.
What happens?
So you mean it when you say BS? You mean it's not going to happen?
I mean, she does not have the power she thinks she has. There's too many of us that really trust and believe in the free enterprise system and really trust and believe in America for a handful of socialists to actually run the dadgum thing. We're not going to tolerate it. You think people would have stayed in their houses much longer off of Fauci? We were about done, boy. I mean, we were all about done, weren't we? Were we about to come out of our houses with pitchforks and torches?
I don't know. I live in Texas, so it was fine.
We're going to tolerate this stuff. Do what?
I live in Texas, so it was fine here. Yeah, but I think the rest of the country was.
I went back to work, and I was trying to kill my employees. So, it's just nutty. Just nutty. So the bottom line is there's enough critical thinkers out there that are capitalists that do believe in this, that it is harder to take over the world than it sounds, in my opinion. Now, I don't know. It's fun discussion because I love you. You got such a great brain. I love talking to you about this stuff. But and again, it's a friendly territory because we've got so much respect for each other over the years. But so I think that I'm not going to write a book that predicts a crash because I've seen too many books
written
later bounce back on people.
Sure.
And I'm not predicting that on you, by the way. I'm just saying I'm not going to change my investment strategy dramatically because I am fearful of the world as we know it to quit operating.
Well, I will tell you that there's a lot of people out there that give advice that I think are morons. I agree with your advice because you are built around get out of debt. And
for sure.
There's nothing that you could do that is better for preparedness for any eventuality, good or bad.
And the funny thing is that works when you're prospering and the economy is going bonkers good.
Yep.
And it works when there's really bad times and these people in control are being fascist and nutty. So, it's hard to foreclose on my house, under current law if I don't have a mortgage.
Real quick, I only have about a minute and a half. Your thoughts on inflation?
There's three components to it right now. The energy component is 100% on Biden's desk. He has completely screwed the pooch on this. It's a supply-demand problem. He cut the faucet off trying to be all greeny, and he drove gas prices through the roof. He single-handedly did it. It's an administrative nightmare. There's another portion of it he had nothing to do with, but he's getting blamed for, and that was we shut everything down, factories and everything, for 90 days or 120 days or 6 months, and we screwed up the supply. And then we screwed up the supply chain. So there was an earthquake at sea. And when the tsunami hit, it was everybody came out and started buying stuff, and there wasn't any stuff to buy. And so this supply-demand curve drove the prices through the roof. That wasn't his fault. Then the third piece is the labor disruption, and part of that's his fault because he paid people to sit on their butts at home when they should have gotten back to work. And if they had gotten back to work, we could have got the economy moving again in a proper way. Instead, they're coming back and we're paying people $20 an hour at Target. Guess what? Target marks up the price of those goods on the shelf to cover the $20 guy putting them on the shelf. So you're paying for his living wage.
How much worse does it get?
Yeah.
How much worse does it get?
Three things together. I think it's going to smooth out pretty quick. The energy thing's the most disturbing because it can be controlled and he could fix it really quick, but he's not going to.
Dave, I love you. Dave Ramsey, the name of his book, I mean, I disagree with you on almost all of this, but the name of his book is Baby Steps Millionaires. What'd you say?
What good is a friend you agree with all the
time? Baby Step Millionaires is the name of the book. It's a New York Times bestseller, as if that means anything anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Baby Steps Millionaire, Dave Ramsey. If you've never listened to the Dave Ramsey Show, you should. It is a great way to get your house in order. Dave, thank you very much. God bless.
Love you, bro. Be good.
All right. Bye-bye.
Careful, guys. Don't want you to get the monkeypox. I know you love each other.